Today, we're diving into a potentially groundbreaking energy concept, one that could completely reframe how we see our own planet.
But first, let's start with a really big question. From the tiniest particle to the vastness of space, have you ever wondered if there's a single, hidden rhythm to how everything in the universe changes and evolves?
Well, one possible answer comes from a framework called Triune Harmonic Dynamics, or THD for short. This is a comprehensive theory put forward by researcher, inventor, and author Kevin L. Brown.
To really get a handle on this, we're going to break it down into 4 parts. We'll start with the universal 369 pattern that's at the heart of the theory. Then we'll see how that applies to a hidden energy reservoir right here on Earth, find out what the harmonic key to unlocking it is, and finally, look at how we can actually test this whole idea scientifically.
So, first things first, let's talk about the foundational code of THD, this idea of a universal pattern that, according to the theory, is behind all transformation.
At its core, THD says that all change happens in a repeating 3-phase cycle. It all starts with emergence, that's the birth of something new. Next comes contrast, where challenges and opposing forces basically test and strengthen that new thing. And it all leads to integration, where a new, more complex level of order is reached, and then the whole cycle just starts over again, constantly driving everything forward.
Now, this isn't just a philosophical concept, it's actually grounded in mathematics. This whole cycle can be described by this one formula you see here. And notice those numbers, the coefficients 3, 6, and 9. They line up perfectly with those 3 phases: emergence, contrast, and integration.
So you might be asking, how does some universal pattern apply to us, right here on Earth? Well, this is where we get a totally new perspective on our planet's energy.
Right now, the standard view is that the Earth's natural frequency, the 7.83 Hz Schumann resonance, is just this faint little atmospheric hum, basically a side effect of lightning storms. But the THD model, it suggests something way more radical, that the space between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere isn't empty, it's a gigantic, planet-sized energy circuit.
In this view, our planet isn't just a big rock. It's more like a massive capacitor. Think of it as holding a permanent electrical charge that's constantly being refilled by the sun. So we're not running out of energy. We're literally living inside a giant, self-recharging battery.
Okay, so if the energy is really there, the next obvious question is, how do we get to it? This is where that universal pattern we talked about becomes the key.
According to THD, that same 369 pattern shows up in Earth's natural frequencies. The number 3 represents potential. That's the fundamental wave at 7.83 Hz. The 6 represents interaction. Those are the harmonics at 14.1 and 20.3 Hz. But the real magic, the crucial piece of the puzzle, is the 9, the resolution phase. The theory says this happens at one very specific frequency.
And that frequency is 33.8 Hz. This is what the theory calls the harmonic lock. It's the point where the planet's wave supposedly reaches something called integer coherence, a state of perfect mathematical harmony. And that creates the ideal window for pulling energy out of the system efficiently. This one number, it's the focal point of the whole thing. Now, a theory this bold demands some serious proof. You know, the path from a cool idea to actual, real-world engineering is built on one thing: claims you can test.
And this gets us to the absolute core of the scientific method. Any credible theory has to be falsifiable. That just means it has to clearly state, here's what you'd see if I'm wrong. It has to give you a way to prove it false.
So the first testable prediction is all about a dramatic power spike. It's a measurable surge in energy that the theory says should pop up specifically at that 9th harmonic node. So the theory predicts that if you were to measure the energy output at different frequencies, you wouldn't get a flat line. What you should see, as this chart shows, is a massive, almost unbelievable spike in power right at that 33.8 Hz harmonic lock. Way, way more than you'd find at the lower frequencies.
So, the experiment is pretty straightforward. You build identical receivers, but tune them to different frequencies. And here's the falsification part, the all-important how you prove it wrong. If the power you get at 33.8 Hz is the same or even less than the others, then the harmonic lock theory is false. It's a clear, simple, pass-or-fail test.
The second prediction ties this planetary energy directly to its source. I mean, if the system is really powered by the sun, then its output has to go up and down with the sun's activity, right?
If the Earth is basically a solar-powered capacitor, then the amount of energy we can pull from it should directly track solar activity. The way to test this is to compare the energy you're harvesting with real-time solar wind data. And again, the falsification is simple. If there's no connection, if the energy level has nothing to do with solar activity, then the model is wrong.
And this third and final prediction, it might be the most critical one of all for actually using this technology safely. It's a concept called harmonic isolation.
You see, that fundamental 7.83 Hertz frequency is often called the Earth's heartbeat, and a lot of biological systems seem to be tuned to it. So, a viable energy source just cannot mess with that fundamental wave. The theory predicts that you can pull energy from the ninth harmonic at 33.8 Hertz, and it will leave that fundamental frequency completely undisturbed.
The test for this involves measuring that 7.83 Hz frequency with extreme precision, while, at the same time, drawing a huge amount of power from the 33.8 Hz harmonic. If drawing that power causes the fundamental frequency to drop or even waver at all, then the system isn't isolated and the method just isn't viable.
So these three predictions, the power spike, the solar connection, and the harmonic isolation, they lay out a clear, data-driven path. They're designed to take this concept from the world of theory into measurable engineering reality. And that really brings us to a final, powerful idea at the heart of all this. Maybe the solution to our energy needs isn't about inventing something new from scratch, but just about recognizing a system that has been here the whole time. The data from these tests will be what tells us if that recognition is finally within our grasp.